What's up, everybody? Welcome to SWAT MMA. We're smoking weed. We're talking mixed martial arts. I'm Jarrod here with Paul.
What up?
This is episode 139 coming from Las Vegas, Nevada. Today we're going to be smoking and talking about UFC 276, our reaction to the whole card, plus some specific questions, namely, what's next for Alexander Volkanovski? Can Alex Pereira KO Izzy a second time and become a UFC champ? What about Pedro Munhoz? Is he looking for a way out of the O'Malley fight? These questions and more debated on today's SWAT MMA. But before we get to the combat sports, you know what time it is. Grab your weed, fire it up, and let's get into the weed of the week.
Smoke weed every day.
All right, Paul, my friend, we are smoking on a couple concentrates and one flower today. As people can hear you coughing from your, what is that, Puffco? Yeah, that looks pretty smoky. You should kill that. The weed we got today is Cookies and Cream, which is a hybrid indica. It is a cross of Starfighter and a Girl Scout cookie phenotype that is unknown of its exact nature. It's 2014 Denver Cannabis Cup winner, originally bred by Exotic Genetics. Got a couple concentrates over there for your Puffco.
We got the LA Kush Cake rosin. It's a mixture of wedding cake and Kush mints. Couple real great strains. And it's made by Camp, which is a all solventless extract company.
It's my favorite kind of extraction.
Yeah, sure, most definitely.
I would much prefer it to any solvents. I mean, I know you can get the higher THC levels, but at some point, I don't really fucking care.
Yeah. Well, like when you get like a better quality and taste, the you know, oh, this is like 90% THC. It's like everything else. It's juiced up though at the same time, you know.
Does it really matter? I mean, if you're smoking THCA crystals that were used like a chemical extraction or something, and it's got 95% THC. If you're smoking like an actual Afghani hash that was made all natural, that's like maybe 60% THC.
Yeah.
Are you really noticing a difference?
No.
You took 3 hits of one and you took one of the other.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, so much different.
It's not, at that point, it's just for shits and giggles. I feel,
yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Word.
I like it. I'm looking forward to trying both of these. They sound good. I cashed this bowl out while we were talking.
No worries.
So I wanted to get your thoughts, though, before we dive into the card. We did spend both Friday and Saturday at the big UFC X fan expo / convention here in Las Vegas, which I'll say right away was a step up from the past couple we've been to, which have been free and outdoors for the most part. The past, what was it, the year before the pandemic, and the one that kind of did, or no, 2 years before the pandemic, actually, wasn't it? The outdoor
Yeah,
one.
something like that. Yeah. Yep.
So,
but yeah, it was a good time. It was like you said before, much better upgrade from what they've had in the past.
Look, it's Las Vegas. We can't go outside. I don't care how many fucking fans you put up. Or
can't put up 110
degrees.
degrees.
Fucking stations.
Yeah.
Like, it's 110 on a small day. You know, if you're sitting there in the sun, it's gonna hit 120 where you're standing. It's miserable.
Yep.
So,
But this time they had it over at the convention center, and I just thought it was much better overall.
60,000 square feet.
Yeah, it was a lot of people. A lot of people there. It was cool. We got to meet some real cool fighters, got some photos.
Who's your favorite fighter that you met this weekend and spoke to?
I can't go. I mean, I fucking love Michael Chandler. Like, Michael Chandler's like one of my favorite fighters. So I thought that was pretty exciting. And
Dude,
then
let's talk about Michael Chandler for a minute, because we saw a lot of people today, and I don't mean this as a diss to any fighters, but there was a lot of different levels of interaction with fans and a lot of different energy.
Yeah.
And Michael Chandler goes fucking above and beyond with fan interaction. Like, he was so fucking cool to like every single person, every little kid he made a big deal out of.
Yeah, he had super high energy, like just freaking
giving hugs to fucking everybody who wanted a hug. He's fucking doing extra,
Yeah.
doing little Instagram videos up
Mhm.
there, signing stuff until he couldn't no more because of
Yeah.
time constraints. 'Cause
We
you're
had
really
like
not
a
supposed to sign shit.
we had like a younger family that was in front of us who had like a little kid who had gloves on, and Chandler did like a fake face off and had like a little mini fight with him playing around, and I just thought that was
Yeah,
really
and
cool.
he looked to be genuinely enjoying all
Yeah,
of that.
100%.
Whereas, like, I'm not going to name any names. That I'm not trying to shit on any fighters who go out and give their time. The fans and
Yeah.
the Fan Expo, but there were several other fighters you could tell were.
Ready to go.
Yeah, and I don't blame them, dude.
No, I
Who
get it,
wants
yeah.
to shake hands with fucking 150 people
More
and
than that sometimes.
take photos
Yeah.
and like it gets tiring, dude. And then right
Absolutely.
after that, you got to go to the press row and do all these fucking
Mhm.
interviews one right after the other. Like,
Yeah.
I get it, dude. As long as you're smiling for the photo, that's all that really matters.
That's all that matters.
But
But yeah, everyone
he
we met was
was
pretty
really-
great.
dude, and
Especially
you know who
Chandler.
else stood out to me as far as like the level of like genuine like niceness and warmth was not just Chandler, but Jessica Andrade as well.
Mhm.
Like she was super fucking
Super nice.
friendly
Yeah.
and like big smiles, real genuine like warm
Yeah.
energy.
Mhm.
Like really seemed happy to be there meeting fans and shit.
100%.
Like
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Another one that I thought was really cool was Jan Blachowicz was real cool too. He's uh
check. That was a weird noise, but we're just gonna keep going, everybody.
sorry. But Jan Blachowicz was real cool. He just felt super genuine, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we said before. Same thing with Vicente Luque was real cool as well.
Yeah,
He was a
he
real
was
good
a real
guy.
nice dude.
Yeah, like you could tell because it was like a meet and greet. You know, they had to like get in, get out. But like a lot of the guys, like you'd shake or women as well. You'd shake their hand, and be like, "Yo, how's your day going?" Or like you get a little bit of that little mini conversation in
Mhm.
because they knew they still had to go to the next person, next person, next person. But just that, uh, it's just cool to see, because like a lot of these people are, we don't necessarily know what they're like outside of the ring and outside of the camera and everything like that. And to meet him in that kind of setting was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. We met some others that weren't there at the meet and greet too, and they were just as friendly, if not more so. Like Nogueira was real nice.
Dude, Nogueira was sick.
Yeah.
That was like one of the ones I was like nervous about when we were going up. I was like, holy shit,
Right.
dude, this is like fucking, this is a legend, dude.
And he just came over from the press area and talked
Yeah,
to us
media row.
fans who were like standing over there because it was
Mhm.
kind of like walled off, like a 3-foot high wall.
Which was smart because there were so many people on those walls that were like trying to during including
Yeah,
ourselves
Railbird was
during
over
during the meetings, like, yo, dog, come on over here, come say what's up,
Yeah, it's nice. Calvin Cater made a point of coming over after we waited a really long
Dude,
time.
holy shit, yeah.
And he saw us waiting, so that was.
He
cool.
wasn't gonna come over, and then he saw us still waiting. And he was like, "Oh shit! All right, I gotta go there," because he had a meet and greet like right after that.
Yeah,
We
he
were
said
able to
no.
kind of skip because we got a photo with him before and had a little chopped it up with him.
Yeah, if you got to meet Bo Nickel there.
Yeah, that was fucking
that
sick.
was cool. He just came up.
Yeah, same
when
thing.
He was done with his interviews. Over
Yeah,
there.
Bo Nickel was super dope. Let's talk about
he's
that.
huge in person, man. He was way bigger than I realized when I saw him.
I was surprised to see him there. First, me and you were like, "Oh, maybe because he's fought on Fight Pass and whatever." But seems like from what the rumors that have been going around that he's gonna fight on the Contender Series this season.
Yeah, it seems like he's going in at 1-0 on a Contender Series. Or two. I've heard debate. I've heard two things on his record. I've heard he's 1-0 with 1 KO, and you said he was 2-0.
Yeah, I don't know. He's
So
either
whatever
1-0 or
he is,
2-0.
he's no more. He has no more than 2 fights, for sure.
Yeah.
And with his extensive wrestling pedigree,
Yeah,
it's kind of
kinda-
there can be an argument made as why would Dana make him go on the Contender Series? And my
Yeah.
only question or response to that would be because he's a wrestler, and Dana
Yeah.
fucking hates a wrestler.
yeah, true.
Even though he does have a knockout victory in at least one of his fights, if he just has the one fight, he's got 1 KO.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of run into that situation that a lot of these high level guys that transfer over from sport to this sport, they are almost seen as even though they are not as experienced as far as MMA, years and fights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They get kind of thrown to the wolves sometimes because we kind of saw this with Aaron Pico also. They kind of get thrown to the wolves right away because not necessarily that people think they're ready, but because their name is now at a certain level that it's hard for your lower level fights to get them fights at all ever. Like,
Yeah, because
no one wants to fight Bo Nickel in the regional scene right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there's
that's
not any advantage to just essentially padding his record
yeah,
unless you get lucky and strike with him and can beat him that way. That's
Yeah.
most people's only chance. So,
Yeah.
I think he'll do good on the Contender Series. We'll see. But that was cool seeing him as well.
yeah,
A lot of people there, man. It was a very popular
ton.
event this time. You can tell a lot more people were interested.
Yeah.
When it's an indoor event, even if it's paid.
yeah. I thought that little main stage thing they did was pretty cool too. They had a few little like mini press conferences where people could come up and ask all these like legends and you know, different fighters questions, kind of like little Q&As, you know what I mean? And yeah, I thought that was pretty cool too.
Even had a panel made up of, it looked like to be Chuck Liddell, Dan
Liddell,
Severin, and
Mark
Coleman.
Yeah.
Looked like it took a serious turn with Coleman there.
Yeah,
with
which
what
was
he was
cool.
talking about, which is
talk,
good, dude. You talk about your recovery
like
and
recovery in
your
his
shit
life
and,
and yeah,
addiction. That's,
Yeah.
It's good to share your story. It just was surprising.
Yeah.
Fucking Dan, I hadn't seen Dan Severin in a long time. That dude's a
Yeah.
white-haired motherfucker. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Damn. Chuck we see everywhere. He's always
Yeah.
popping up at UFC events.
Yep.
But we'll have video up on our YouTube channel of a walkthrough of the event, for those of you listening that are interested in seeing exactly what was going on there. There was cool. You could drink there. They had a 21 up in area. And of course, Proper 12 was there in full effect, passing out free shots and making lemonade and ginger ale drinks. Howler Head seemed to be a really popular whiskey there because, like, I swear to God, like a quarter of the people at the event were in Howler Head T-shirts.
I think they were giving them away.
I had never tried that whiskey before. I'll say that if you like it, listening,
it's obviously
you have
like
a unique taste.
I was gonna say it's obviously like one of those things that people who like banana flavored stuff.
Yeah, if you don't know, it's banana flavored whiskey, which to me, as soon as I took that shot, I was regretful.
Yeah,
and I regretted it for the next 15 or 20 minutes. That shit was awful.
My thing is like it's not that I don't like the flavor of banana. I don't like the artificial flavor.
Dude, it tasted like Runts candy.
Yeah,
but I don't mind a Runts banana, but that's when I'm looking for candy, not when I'm drinking fucking whiskey.
Yeah, it was rough.
It tasted to me like someone had soaked a bunch of Runts in some like cheap whiskey.
It was cool though. I mean, it's not like it was like the worst thing I ever tried. It just wasn't my cup of tea.
Dude, our other friend that was with us, he liked it.
Yeah,
and obviously some people do because that shit's blowing up.
It's a little too much.
But all in all, it was a good time. So be sure to check out our YouTube channel for footage of that and some other things around Vegas because we also went to the press conference for Usman and Edwards, as well as the ceremonial weigh-ins.
Yep.
And we've got some great video of all that stuff as well. And let's go ahead and shift into the big event that capped off International Fight Week here in Las Vegas, and that was UFC 276. Now, I think some specific questions, which we mentioned earlier, come out of this event, but dude, it was a good card, like top to bottom here.
I mean, there just wasn't a boring fight at all.
There wasn't.
Just matchup wise, like there was no opportunity for these fights to be bad.
There was a few fights that didn't,
live up.
Let's be honest, the main event lost a bit of shine because the co-main event was pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive, yeah.
And Izzy turned in a ho-hum performance, but it was still not. It wasn't awful like Namajunas Esparza level.
No, it's just
close to that.
Yeah,
it just wasn't great.
Yeah,
there were some great fights on.
He's edged it out.
But let's start near the bottom of the card before we get in, because all of our big questions today are kind of centered around the top half of the card. So, what stood out for you? What about Jessica Macy Barber?
One thing I do want to talk about, actually, real quick, dude. How about what's it? Sorolenko starting the card, the whole prelims out with breaking Jessica Rose Clark's arm.
I think she dislocated her elbow.
Either way, it was like,
get that.
Dude,
I know that's her signature move and shit, but she was getting tooled the fuck up.
She's getting tooled, yeah, and she was just like, fuck this.
Jessica Rose Clark was whooping that ass, and then she
went
got
straight
caught
for
in
it.
an armbar.
Yeah. I was like, all right, this is how you started out.
Yeah, and you could
It's
see
like shit.
that. You could see her elbow pop out. That shit was nasty.
Yeah. And like Sorolenko, I mean, good luck. I mean,
she's
for her.
She
was 0-4 or something like that. In the
she
UFC.
was 0-3 in the UFC. She gets the win here. Good. I mean, I'm not trying to take away. It was amazing. It was a hell of an armbar.
She needed that.
I thought Jessica Rose Clark was looking great. I was like, damn,
On the
this
feet,
girl's
yeah.
on fire.
On the feet, I was like, okay, here we go. And then as soon as it went to the ground, I was like, oh shit, never mind.
Yeah, which bummed me out because I'm a fan.
Yeah, but so then headed on up. Macy Barber Jessica I was a real good, like we talked about last week. It was just a real solid test for where Macy Barber's at as far as her career. I think she passed. I mean, there was obviously some adversity, but you like to see that with someone who's 23 or 24 or whatever.
Look,
she
she
is.
moved over to Team Alpha Male, and it looks like it's paid off. It looks like she's learned from her losses.
Yeah.
And she turned in a good, solid performance against a veteran in Jessica I. She outstruck her 63 to 35. She got just a very dominant performance. She was landing some nasty, nasty elbows. And Jessica I, at the end of this, goes ahead and
Calls it,
retires.
yeah.
You know, not the first or only retirement we saw on the card of a veteran fighter, but good for her. I think it's a smart move. When you don't have it, you don't have it. And dude, I thought Jessica would win this fight.
I
really
did too. I did too.
And if you're not beating the Macy Barbers, and I'm not taking away from Macy Barber's a strong upcoming fighter. And if
Yeah.
Jessica I can't hang with that
Yeah.
upcoming, why stick around, take more punishment, and get your ass kicked? You
And
know what's up.
She's had a good
Yeah.
career. I mean, she's literally never spent any of her UFC career outside of the top 15. She had, she had her title fight with
Earned the title
Shevchenko.
shot,
Like,
yep.
I mean, how it went doesn't matter. The fact that you climb that mountain shows your worth as a fighter. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
She
not
got to fight
there's
one
tons of
the-
fighters who never get to ever fight for a belt.
let alone
You know
fight a
what I mean?
legendary
Yeah,
fighter.
exactly.
I mean, it sucks. Yeah, you become a highlight reel of that legend,
Yeah.
but still,
You're
I mean,
still,
you made it there, and
you were in there.
you not only fought the best of the best at the time, you fought maybe one of the best
Best
of
of
the
all
best
time.
ever.
Yeah.
So, congratulations to Jessica I on a great career, and let's see what she does next.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good that she's not going to be in there taking punishment.
Yeah. So I want to talk about another young up and comer who came in and put on a good performance. I thought Ian Gary looked real good.
Yeah, he got
Another
the win over Gabe Green.
Gabe Green, another one of those like fights where like we saw him face adversity. Gabe Green was in there the whole fight. Like I thought it was 1-1 going into the third, but as soon as obviously Ian Gary gets the knockdown in the third round, I think that sealed the victory for him.
It did. And Ian outstruck him pretty handily, 116 to 90. Although strikes aren't everything, but his Gabe Green's extremely tough. He's a tough out, and I thought he could have got knocked out at any point. The fact that he didn't really just showed how strong he is. Ian Gary Machado's striking was very impressive. His 1-2 is really slick.
Yeah.
I hate to often refer to it as boxing just because you know how I like to nitpick that it's not boxing and MMA, but I'll just call it that. Like his boxing looked real nice.
Yeah.
Like he has boxing level 1-2 combos, which
he's just slick and he's fast with it. His ability to go in, get what he needs to get, and get out is what separates him from a lot of these guys that are in this division. I would think.
I was surprised a lot of the MMA media was picking against him, which I just didn't get.
I think that's just kind of a case of a young guy coming up, and this is like a bigger test for him, and you never really know what level all these guys are at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like Ian Gary is one of those ones where he's willing to go in there and get hit, and people are like, okay, well, if he fights anyone with power, he's probably going to lose. But I thought he wore some good punches.
Yeah, that moves him to what, 10-0?
10-0, yeah.
And
3-0 the UFC, right?
Tougher test here. Maybe a top 15 guy, bottom half, top 15, or somebody right outside.
Yeah, top 20, 25, maybe
we'll
15.
What do you think of this cookies and cream? I thought this weed was pretty smooth.
Yeah, it is pretty smooth.
Nice.
I like it.
Yeah. I like it. You know what I didn't like?
What's that?
Well, I did and I didn't, but I didn't like seeing Cowboy retire. I mean, I was happy because I'm tired of seeing him lose. But at the same time, I couldn't help but feel sad.
Well, I mean, all of us want to see some of our favorite fighters fight forever, but I think this was something that was coming down the pike, and I'm glad it happened in the fight it happened, where he didn't take a ton of damage or anything, And
No, if he can't beat Jim Miller,
if you can't exactly, he shouldn't be fighting anymore.
No disrespect to Jim Miller, but Cowboy's been fighting the killers. in the top 10
Yeah.
of a lot of, of two divisions, really.
Mhm.
More so in the lightweight division as far as top 10 goes, but
Mhm.
he should beat Jim Miller if he was the Donald Cerrone of
He just
old.
didn't really look hungry in there, you know. He just kind of
said
looked
he
like he
had a
was going
terrible
through
camp,
the motions.
He knew he was retiring either way,
Yeah.
but he loses by submission in the second round to guillotine choke.
Yep.
And takes off the gloves, leaves his hat in the octagon as well.
Well,
No more Cowboy Cerrone.
Yeah. It was a great career though for him, you know. I mean,
Dude, he's got a new movie out right now. He's pretty serious about the movie career. I mean, he's got a Western that just dropped, I think, or it's about to drop.
about to come out, I think.
Toronto.
Yeah.
And those are actually pretty decent. That company putting those out does a decent job. I saw one of their horror movies. It was all right. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but that might actually be pretty decent.
Yeah.
Good
for him.
Another strong performance was in the next fight on the undercard, which saw
it's the main event. Yeah.
Brad Riddell take on Jalen Turner.
Jalen Turner just went right to work.
Yeah, we end up with a 45-second guillotine sub by Jalen
It was
Turner.
a mounted guillotine too. It was fucking nasty.
His arms are so long for this division. I mean, he's 6'3".
Oh yeah, 6'3", facing a dude who's 5'7".
At lightweight.
Yeah.
Brad Riddell is a good striker. I mean, he's one of Izzy's striking coaches.
Yeah.
Alexander Volkanovski's striking coaches.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do? Jalen Turner is a
he's got
problem.
I was just gonna say he's got a future at 55. I mean, geez, I think you're 155 pounds, 6'3" is pretty nuts too. But holy shit,
I got a few questions about that last night. Was how the hell is this guy 6'3" and fighting in this weight class? Like, what is going on, man?
Yeah, I kept thinking that. I was like, holy shit, dude, this dude is humongous compared to
definitely some people wondering about that.
Yeah, but yeah, great performance.
Now, let's skip over because look, there's three big questions that we're going to talk about, and I want to skip over the Munoz O'Malley fight for now.
Okay.
And just knock out kind of the rest of these undercard because there's just one other fight to talk about before we get into like kind of the big fights. And that was Robbie Lawler versus Brian Barbarina at welterweight, which boy did that fight start one way and end another way.
Yeah.
Because I had Robbie tooling that fool up. Like, I know if you look on paper, the first round, it said that Barbarina had like 60 strikes to Robbie's 25. But if you go back and watch that, Robbie was whooping that ass.
Yeah.
Like, Robbie's striking looked really crisp, really fast, and really hard. And Barbarina's doing a lot of these and this and that. And, and some hard shots mixed in there. But a lot of those were just, he's throwing a hook and then he's whipping the backhand back. Like, these aren't, you can call that shit significant strikes.
Yeah.
But that's relative to the other shit you're throwing, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I had Robbie win in the first round. I thought Robbie was going to KO him. And then all of a sudden, Barbarina, he threw this really weird elbow, like they're facing each other, like you saw, and he like goes in like straight.
Yeah, Aljamain Sterling does those a lot.
Yes, it was the Aljamain Sterling elbow. From like the chest out.
Yeah, you like throw
this
it like
weird.
Up. Yeah, it's intense.
And did he crack him? He cracked him. Cracked Robbie and then put him away, man.
He did a lot of those in the Vicente Luque fight too.
Barbarina did?
Yeah, he did that a lot against Vicente Luque. But yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I kind of saw that coming. Like, I love Robbie Lawler too, but I just don't think he should be fighting anymore either. I think he probably should have called it.
He doesn't need to be in the UFC. If he can't take out guys like Brian Barbarina, no shade here, but Barbarina's never gonna get ranked. He's not that guy.
He might now, but
I wasn't that impressed until the end when he put him away. That was an impressive finish. But before then, I was like, dude, you look
sloppy-ish.
Like, he looked super duper sloppy, and Robbie looked like a technical fucking good fighter.
And that's kind of
like a caveman in there winging fucking tough man shit. And then some of it was nice though. Like every like fourth fucking shot was something nice. And dude, it worked.
Yeah,
it clearly it worked. Dude.
That's kind of Barbarina's like whole game though. Is like almost to like put you in this like dogfight that you don't even realize you're in until you're in it, because like you think you're tagging him up, but in reality he's got such a good chin that he just kind of waits and throws back and, doesn't ever necessarily like damage, like he doesn't have like one punch knockout power, I don't think at all. But like he does this thing where he just like kind of hangs in there and just waits for you to think that you got him and that he hits you with something big and you're like, what the fuck? He's done that to a lot of people.
He
That's
has.
kind of why I thought going into this fight that Robbie was in trouble. Not because like I think, Barbarina is his world beater, but I do think
Robbie's a way better fighter
Robbie's
than Brian.
yeah,
If you
career-wise,
can't
yeah.
beat him
Yeah.
now, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. I'm not trying to shit on the dude. Dude, you
Yeah.
got a big W, dude. And it
Yeah.
was a fun fight, dude. That fight was a
Mhm.
blast.
Mhm.
Like, that was really exciting all the way to the end. But I'm not, like, impressed with it.
Yeah.
It was what it was. Robbie should fucking retire.
Or go to Bellator. Even
Yeah.
Bellator, I don't know. Actually,
BKFC. He tear it up
170.
in BKFC. Bro.
Yeah, 170 in Bellator is actually not a good idea because they're tough too.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I think bare knuckle would be good if he wants to keep fighting. Otherwise, hang him up. Yeah. All right, now that leaves us with 4 big fights that have a lot of ramifications, have a lot of interesting questions associated with them, and they also all happen to be on the pay-per-view card.
Yeah.
Opens up with Sean O'Malley, Pedro Munhoz. We're all expecting this fucking banger.
Yeah.
And
it was good while it lasted. I thought it was pretty technical, pretty good. And then it just took a turn for the worst.
Well, what happened was there was an accidental eye poke, clearly accidental. And then Munoz said that he could not see, and then it was ruled a no contest in the second round, and fight was over. Now, there is some controversy associated here. O'Malley's doing his thing, saying he whooped that ass, that he was dominating, and that Munoz wanted a way out. Munoz did some weird things in a lot of people's eyes afterwards. A lot of people didn't think the poke looked that bad. Some people couldn't even see a finger go in the eye. I thought it was odd that he was bringing up the fact he got kicked in the balls, I thought. He was bringing up another foul, which it didn't even look like he really got kicked in the balls. It looked like he took a toe in the gut and maybe a heel to the cup, maybe.
Yeah.
But the toe to the gut looked like it landed first. And then he asked for a DQ win because of the multiple fouls to the ref.
Yeah, but that's just no. That's not how it works, buddy.
It's just not a
even 3
good
strikes.
look because it leaves it open for people saying he was looking for a way out, which is clearly what O'Malley is saying now. Some people are like, yeah, that was pretty weak. I hate to be that guy because I don't know what an eye poke, there's other fighters defending and say, hey, you go fucking take an eye poke and then stay in there with a guy who's a fucking striker.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But it looked pretty whack, and asking for that. The thing that got me was asking for the DQ.
The asking for the DQ part is exactly. I agree. Like the asking for the DQ part is where it gets shady. Like if it just happened, and it's like kind of like when the we've seen so many eye poke finishes like over the years, and like it sucks. But like the whole asking for a DQ win part kind of makes it seem like you were deciding on if you're going to continue based on if you're going to get in the DQ or not.
Yeah, that's never a good look in a fight. I happen to think O'Malley was winning that fight. The strike stats look pretty close. I think it was 26-25 in Munoz's favor by the time it stopped around the 3-minute mark of round 2. But I don't know. I had O'Malley winning, but not by any large margin. But it looked like he was going to turn it up and put in, if not away.
I think the best thing Pedro Munhoz did in the fight was his attack on Sean's legs. Like, I mean, he got off some good leg kicks, but that was like kind of the basis of his like offense. You know what I mean? He wasn't really landing huge shots or anything, but he got some leg kicks off, and who knows? Like, that's what sucks about this kind of fight. It's not necessarily who was winning or who wasn't winning, but it's the who knows part, because it's like, okay, like I guess we saw what we saw, but like you got out of there before you really saw anything. Both guys were both just kind of getting started. Neither guy looked like it was like, oh, this is about to be over. Like,
so the 2 questions that come out of this: number 1, I'll ask you first, and I'll give my answer. Pedro Munhoz, was he, let's say, exaggerating the situation or not?
A bit, yeah.
That's what I'm going to say too. I'm not going to say he was not hurt, but I feel like maybe just a bit, just a little bit.
I don't necessarily that's why I like the way I would frame it is I don't necessarily know if he was looking for a way out. I just maybe he was fed up with getting fouled and was like, "Fuck this, man! That dude just fucking kicked me in the nuts and poked me in the eye, dude. DQ him." Like,
Yeah, whatever it
maybe,
was, I think maybe just a
Yeah,
little bit. Not saying your eye wasn't
yeah,
hurt or the poke,
maybe,
just
yeah.
maybe you exaggerated that one a little bit. Yeah. And the other question that comes out of this was, did Sean O'Malley, was he winning that fight prior, in your opinion?
I'd say it's just hard to say, man. I don't necessarily. I can't look at that like one round and say someone's winning a fight.
Yeah.
You know, it's like fuck. So, I guess no. I
Yeah.
call it a draw. Like,
I think it would have been bullshit if they would have given a fight to either guy. If they'd have given the DQ win to Munoz, I think that's fucking bullshit. And if they would have somehow said O'Malley gets a W here, I think that's some bullshit.
Like a medical TKO or something.
It's actually the best result for the situation is the no contest. I feel they got that right. Maybe Pedro was exaggerating maybe a little bit, and Sean O'Malley's definitely exaggerating with his I won and kicked his ass.
Yeah.
I dominated. You weren't dominating. Maybe you were. Maybe that was a 10-9.
Yeah. You probably won the first round, but
round.
That's not a dominant win. Come on. That's like this. Yeah. I don't know. My quick question to you, though, is do they run this back or do you move on?
I think you run it back.
Think so?
But I don't know if Munoz wants to.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. I would think that he would if he's confident that he can beat him. If he's not looking for it, then I guess we'll know the answer maybe to that exaggeration thing. Yeah. Who knows? Or maybe he feels he was getting fouled excessively. Who knows? It's hard to speculate. Let's talk about Sean Strickland and Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
Which saw just a ridiculous knockout victory for Alex Pereira. Strickland made an unwise decision to keep that a standing fight in the first round and to go after him standing straight up. He's got big, huge balls, maybe not the biggest brain.
That's kind of what I was alluding to last week. Is I was like, remember I kind of said I was like, his toughness is going to be his undoing, because like we kind of this came out after the show last week, but during the press conference he talked about how he was like, oh, I trained with so many glory kickboxers and blah blah blah. But it's like, hey man, not everyone's the same. Just because you've trained with some kickboxers does not mean that they're in there trying to rip your fucking head off.
Right, and there's more than what you see on paper. You look at like his career. You know, he had losses. It's not like he went undefeated in kickboxing. And you think, oh, whatever. I hang with kickboxers all the time. No, his striking is on another level. Sean shouldn't have been doing that. He definitely should have been striving for a takedown. I wouldn't have been mad at that game plan at all. No. I was fully expecting a wrestling heavy attack from Strickland. I was pretty shocked he decided to stand straight up and kickbox a world-class kickboxer. He gets slept.
Yeah.
It was a massive left hook right on the jaw.
Yeah.
I mean, picture perfect to the jaw. Strickland's knees, they immediately buckle. This was at what, the 45-second mark, I do believe. I mean, they buckle down something bad, like but he starts to get up, and Alec was so fucking quick with his follow-up right hands that Strickland couldn't even get back to his feet before he ate 2 more punches, and it was done. It was fucking over, son.
Yep. So that was that.
And this is important because we see Israel Adesanya get the decision victory in the main event. And we had already talked about this being a de facto #1 contenders fight between Strickland, who was on a 6-fight win streak, and Pereira, who, if you're listening and are still unaware, has 2 victories over Adesanya in kickboxing, including a vicious knockout.
Yeah,
I
think they both were knockouts. One was a TKO and the other one was a knockout.
I thought one might have been a decision, but again, sometimes you get conflicting information on these kickboxing on the internet with these sites. But without a doubt, he slept him bad one time for sure, and I'm pretty sure that's what was Izzy's last kickboxing fight.
I think that was Izzy's last knockout loss. Yeah, period.
And he is sleeping. Dude, Sean Strickland may not have the best world-class striking like Alec, but he's a tough and nasty.
Tough dude.
Ranked top 4 for a reason. Very mean and nasty fighter, which is a compliment in the fight game. I mean, you fight people in a cage for a living. You want to be mean and nasty. and rough and tough. And we saw Adesanya rise through the ranks and look amazing. We didn't see him knocking fools into next week.
Yeah.
I mean, his striking is amazing. This dude's power, though, is something else.
Power is ridiculous.
And this sets
his
up...
size, too, is a problem.
He's big and strong.
He's fucking huge.
He was so much bigger
long,
than Sean
too.
Strickland,
Yeah.
bro.
He looks like a 205er.
Yeah.
And that's my thing is, like, I think one thing that going into this Israel fight, if it does happen next, that that's going to be one of the biggest issues that Izzy's going to have with him is his size. Like, because one thing about Izzy's game that we saw even this weekend is his ability to use his length is one of his strongest, attributes. Whereas, like, he's not going to be able to really do that against someone like Pierre. It's just not.
Look, we've got
not
Jarrod
there.
Cannonier landed 57% of his significant strikes against Israel Adesanya, who incidentally only landed 50% against Jarrod Cannonier. He took 141 strikes compared to 163 from Izzy. And I'm just throwing this out there because if he can't take those number of punches from a guy like Pereira.
No.
And Jarrod Cannonier is strong as well. But he's not, that's just a different game.
Yeah.
I think this guy's a real problem for Adesanya here.
I do too, but here's where my I don't know. Here's where I like split off with this. Is I agree with what you're saying with the Cannonier thing, but I don't think a fight against Jarrod Cannonier gets Israel Adesanya out of bed like a fight with someone like Pereira, who he's lost to. There's all this animosity. There's all this, past bullshit that is between them.
There's maybe some problems in Izzy's head. The fact that he's lost twice to this guy, including
that's what I'm saying.
Fucking
that's what I'm saying.
Like, oh, I can
that
kick his ass.
I feel like that fires him up more than Jarrod Cannonier, who's
you can't talk his normal shit.
Yeah.
What is he? What's he gonna say?
I mean, yeah, but no, I'm saying
kick
like
your ass. Well, you had 2 times to do it. We know this ain't gonna be a wrestling match. This will essentially be a kickboxing match.
Yeah, pretty much.
So like,
it's gonna be different though. Much different.
It will be. But it's looking like that's what's next. Because look, we'll briefly just segue into the Adesanya. Adesanya gets the decision victory over Jarrod Cannonier, and basically a snooze fest.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no question that he won. I just feel that the rounds were a lot closer than they needed to be.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we've seen over the years with people like dominant champions like Izzy and Anderson Silva and even Usman sometimes, where like they get into this come take the title from me mode when they have guys who are maybe dangerous or powerful, and they're like, I don't necessarily have to do a fuck ton to beat you right now. I'm already the champion. If I do what I do normally and I just, don't take any like big shots from you, the judges, although that sounds like shit, that's the reality of it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're the champion going into this fight, in a lot of judges' eyes, it's you got to come take the belt from them. As messed up that is, it's the reality of what we're dealing with here. And Izzy and John Jones and a lot of these dominant champions over the years get into this mode where they fight a lot of these contenders and they get, I don't want to say bored, but
GSP did it too. They just start getting safe with it.
They get safe. Yeah, they know they have the champion. They want to stay champion.
And you can't blame them for that. It's just it's for us, for fans, it's not the most exciting thing. GSP went the safe route after he got the belt back from Sarah. And Jones arguably could say did some of that as well. Izzy, I think, is clearly doing it. He's turned into several snoozers now. This isn't the first one that's been a bit of a snoozer. I mean, this is like the third, I do believe.
Yeah.
But I'm not knocking, dude. He's still one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world. I think though that he is going to have his fucking hands full with Pereira. I think that's a whole different fight. And if he's not careful, he could get fucking knocked the fuck out again.
This is what Izzy needs, though. He needs that opponent that's going to take his career into the next stratosphere, because this is someone we see that, like you said, he can't really talk any shit to. He's lost to twice. He's been slept. Like, if he now comes back from that adversity and he puts on some kind of masterclass, as far as like stardom, he's already there. But like the UFC, I think, is going to use him being knocked out by Pereira a lot in the like the build up to this fight, and it's gonna piss Izzy off. We know how he handles himself in the media and everything. He's going to be pissed off by
His
the way
media
that
game is.
it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. But
Dude,
you know
that
what
was the
I'm
most
saying.
embarrassing trash talk I've ever heard come out of a professional fighter that's a male
Yeah.
ever. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Which one?
I'm gonna put him on skates. He'll be
Oh
frozen
yeah,
like
Elsa.
Elsa.
Yeah. That's pretty stupid.
Disney princess
He's dropping
references.
the Disney princesses on him.
I mean, you know my thoughts on why that is, but
Yeah.
and that's fine. You do you, bro. But
He had a couple good ones though. He said,
I don't know. But see, your problem with what, or not the problem, but you're talking, and you're right. Is he does need an opponent like that? But here's the big thing: his career only goes into the stratosphere if he does what he couldn't do twice before and win. You know what happens if he goes in there and he gets KTFO'd, gets his rematch, and loses again? Bye-bye.
Yeah.
We talk about
That's
dude
the
was a
fight
great
game, though.
champion. He was good. He goes the Tyron Woodley route, where
Mhm.
maybe he tries to reinvent himself at 205, whatever.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
he's big enough to do that.
Yeah,
And
he can do
Jones
that.
is way up at heavyweight, and Jones ain't coming back to 205
No.
anytime soon. If you've seen Instagram photos of that dude, 205 is dead for John Jones.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
No doubt.
So I think that would be the, and I think that's a strong possibility. It's a lot stronger than any other opponent we've seen Izzy face in the UFC.
Mm-hmm. And what you said right there kind of ties into, what we're going to talk about next with Holloway and Volkanovski. And that's just the nature of the game, bro. Like, if we really look at it, we look at all these dominant champions and we go, they'll never get beaten. They'll never, this, they'll never that. And then, like Max Holloway, we said that about him. Max was on a fucking, 14-fight win streak, and then here comes Volkanovski,
And that's on a win streak of his own now, up to 23 victories in a row. 3-0 against Holloway. He gets the decisive victory this time. He whitewashed him 5 rounds, nothing. Clear beat down, tore his face all up, put a real exclamation point on this. No one can talk any more shit.
No.
And I think Max Holloway has to go to 155 now. I mean, that was our question last week. Is his career at 45 over? Yeah, was he going to stick around here for it, to keep knocking off contenders? And sorry, he got worked, bro.
Oh yeah,
and
took to the woodshed.
There's the 4th fight, and that is so fucking dead in the water. It'd have to be years down the road. He'd have to fucking kill off 4 or 5 guys.
Probably more than that.
Probably.
He would have to hope.
What's the point?
He would have to hope that Volkanovski would lose to somebody.
But let's talk about this. Volkanovski made what I thought was a fascinating revelation in the post-fight press conference concerning this fight, concerning his trilogy with Max. And it was something that he said he was only bringing up now because his performance proved it, and no one could say he was just talking shit, and he didn't want to look like he was making excuses. I don't even know if you've heard this or not. He said that prior to his 2nd fight with Max Holloway, which is the controversial one, most controversial one that people say, oh, Max should have won. And it started this whole thing, Max being the uncrowned champ, et cetera, et cetera. He said that Usada woke him up the night of the championship fight, 4 hours before he was scheduled to wake up, with a fucking piss test fucking requirement. He couldn't fucking pee. He had to fucking stay up, water load, wait around, piss, then took a bunch of fucking melatonin so he could get back to sleep, because he couldn't get back to sleep after all that shit. His coaches were like, what the fuck are you guys doing? This is wrong. You're interrupting his sleep in the middle of a championship fight. You take the fucking test in 4 hours. When he wakes up, what are you all doing? They're like, too bad, so sad. He takes the fucking melatonin. He wakes up 4 hours later. He's like groggy as fuck. He's out of it. Comes to the fight, and he feels like he can't perform. He still feels half asleep. He's all fucking out of it. And he says he didn't want to say any of that shit after the fight because it sounds like a bunch of excuses. And what he wanted to do was simply wait until the 3rd fight happens again, show everybody what the fuck he's like when he gets his full night's sleep, when he's not getting woken up with some bullshit in the middle. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, it's super fucked up. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Like, that blows my fucking mind that that even happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he'd have lost that fight, I would be like, is there like a lawsuit? Like, is there a civil suit here?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that might sound crazy. I'm just like, because you're taking money out of his pocket.
100%. Yeah.
Like, that's just nuts to me. But so, and he keeps all that shit to himself until he goes out and does everything he said he would do, which is whoop that fucking ass, then reveals it and says, this is what happened. Max brought it, and I couldn't bring it because I was out of it. Yeah. And my night got fucked up, and I was unable to just bring it. And now I brought it.
Yeah.
Fuck all you people that said I lost, and fuck all you people that said I couldn't beat him. I'm the best in the world. And that's just a hell of a story to me.
Yeah, 100%.
And I tend to believe it because of the way he said it, and he's bringing it up now.
Yeah, he said that on Joe Rogan's show, too.
I think that's shocking, dude.
Yeah, when he was on Joe Rogan a couple of months ago, he talked about that and said they woke him up at 4 a.m. and, like, he couldn't. There's nothing he could do about it, and yeah, even it's just craziness. That's nuts. That's nuts.
There is nothing more important before you have to perform than the sleep you get the night before.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, people in the real world, dude. I have a hard time going to fucking about my regular ass day.
Yeah.
If I get a shitty night's sleep. Let alone having to do something where it's required your peak athletic performance.
Yeah.
Especially coming off the day before. What are they doing? They're cutting fucking weight, which is incredibly taxing on their body. Many people would argue it's equally as taxing as the fight, perhaps even more.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
What a fucking thing, dude.
Yeah. Usada doesn't seem to be that great. Who would have thought? Yeah, it's fucked up though. Real quick, just so people realize too, like the fact that Volkanovski beat Max 3 times in a row is crazy too. Max going into I was wrong because I actually heard it in the post-fight press conference. They said that Max had won 16 in a row at featherweight with 10 finishes. Someone who dominated the division in that level, and then you dominated him on a whole nother level.
15. I mean, you can say that second fight was close all you want. Now that the third fight ends it all.
First fight was decisive. Second fight, whatever you could say, whatever. The third fight was just as decisive as the first.
Max's face was battered.
Yeah,
dude, both eyes. Yeah. That cut above his left eye was nasty,
dude. I mean,
Volk's speed. He was coming in there.
He was fast too.
Him.
Like, holy shit, though. How has Max never been knocked down? That's fucking ridiculous. Because even Volk was like, I don't know how he stayed up. Like, I literally don't. I don't get it.
I'm starting to find all of this concerning. Is when they keep talking about the chin. You know why they when
someone takes a lot of shots like that, yeah, for sure.
Well, see, because that's why why we're having the conversation. When announcers start talking about Max's chin is just legendary. Why are you saying that? Well, that's because he's been getting hit so goddamn much lately.
Yeah, he has been. Dude, the fact that he's never been knocked down is fucking ridiculous. To think of like that Poirier fight, the second one, he didn't get knocked down in that one. Like, what the fuck? He got landed like bombs on him. Same thing like with the Yair fight. He took straight head kicks to the face, nothing. Like it's.
I feel like the problem with that is when that catches up to a fighter, it's like it happens overnight. 100%. Like all of a sudden, he's gonna get. Hypothetically, and I'm not saying I want this to happen, but the way it usually goes is everybody's got an iron chin, and then all of a sudden somebody comes along and knocks them the fuck out, and then in most cases they're never the same again. Their chin is gone for the most part.
Happened to Frankie Edgar.
Yeah,
remember Frankie Edgar had never been knocked out.
He was
before,
unstoppable. Now he's
then he's been stopped like 4 of his last 5 since that.
That's a prime example.
Yeah, like literally,
he had that legendary shit that everybody talks about because he's so much.
And it's all these guys with longevity like that too. Because I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, you have to go through the fights over a long period of time for people to sit back and be like, "Holy shit, you've never been knocked down." You know how many 5-round fights Max always been in?
Jesus,
like,
bro.
It's ridiculous. And I mean, it's still credit to him. I mean. You know, he went out.
Dude, he's amazing. He's a legend.
Yeah,
he's a UFC
he handled
Hall of
him
Famer.
his way, the right way, and everything. But he's not as Volkanovski's got his number.
And before we talk about the greatness of Alexander Volkanovski, and let's finish up Max Holloway with talking about some positive things.
Yeah,
like he is relatively young.
Oh yeah, he's only
He is
29.
5'11". He
Mhm.
has an amazing frame for lightweight.
Yeah,
Like,
he's got a good camp around him too. Like they
Yes.
could do things the right way and get
His
to lightweight.
career is not
No.
over.
No.
I believe, much like, let's say, Conor McGregor,
Mhm.
his career at featherweight is done.
Yeah,
Let's put a cap on it. You were one of the all-time best already, without a doubt. That's not even up for debate.
yeah, no.
And now if he takes a little bit of time off because he's a super skinny motherfucker.
Yeah,
He
he's
needs
skinny.
to put some weight on. It can't be like when he fought Poirier, when he was just didn't cut weight and he was still a featherweight.
Yeah.
No, become
And
a
he
real
still
lightweight.
gave Poirier all he could handle too.
Do like Dustin has. Dustin's a real lightweight now.
Yeah.
They're talking about Dustin going to 170 for fuck's sake.
Connor too.
You know.
Connor's the right way too. He's
Yeah.
put the weight on.
Yeah, they're
We've
way
seen tons
bigger.
of people do it.
This guy, he takes some time off, recover from all these fucking blows, pack on some weight, come back at lightweight. No reason he couldn't win the title there, I don't think.
No, and he has that past with Charles Oliveira where didn't their fight end in a no contest because Charles like messed his knee up or something
Some
like that.
shit like that, yeah.
Some like injury stoppage
And
or
Charles
something.
is a featherweight as well.
Yeah.
And now Charles, I believe, is the same height, 5'11".
Yeah.
And I think
He's
example
another
of
one.
that frame, that he's got a very similar frame that was a featherweight, translates real well to lightweight.
Yeah. Well, and that's the same thing too. Is people for years have talked about how in between fights Max weighs like 180 pounds. So like,
Right.
I mean,
I think he might be doing some of the Paddy Pimblett with that. Though.
yeah, but like
Getting
that, maybe
grub
that
on
was
it.
early in his career when he didn't have his nutrition down or something. But still, you can't imagine that guy walks around 145 pounds, even if his nutrition is fucking, stat and all that shit. He's had to be walking around at least 165, maybe
for
more. But yeah, no, his career is not over. I agree with you. It's not over whatsoever. He can move to 55, and he'd just be put right into the mix of guys that he would have to, fight to see who gets to the belt. We're talking about a division also that is a vacant title.
Well, technically, it is true. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, is going into a fight, they're looking for a dance partner for Charles. And if Charles doesn't play ball, they could move on from Charles and not even would it be right? No. But what I'm saying is there's a scenario where right now that's going on in the 155-pound division where Charles Oliveira is trying to sit out and wait for Conor McGregor. And everybody knows the UFC doesn't play the sit out and wait game. Like if
Usually not. No.
Yeah, we're talking some of the biggest names in the world have gotten passed up on fights because they wanted to wait and the UFC didn't.
Right.
Even Conor McGregor. Remember, Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor were supposed to rematch at UFC 200. And Conor McGregor didn't show up for a press conference, and they pulled him out of it. And they fucking, the history is history.
That,
But they could easily do that same thing to Charles Oliveira if he sits and waits for Conor, and because he wants that money fight. We got Islam, Michael Chandler, someone like Max Holloway, or let's even go into the next guy, someone like Alexander Volkanovski, who's now one of the greatest featherweights of all time. He's talked about it in the past. He wants
23 fights in a row for
Yeah.
this guy. And his one loss, for those of you listening, a lot of people don't know this. His one L on his record came at welterweight. He took a fight at 170 pounds against a guy who was way bigger than him. Clearly outsized. It reminded me of watching Stefan Struve fight. The height difference and size difference was so much with him fighting this dude.
Really?
So nobody's beat him at the weight class that he should be fighting in, which is the 45 to 55 range.
Mm-hmm.
So he's talking about taking a step up. He's talking about becoming champ.
Mm-hmm.
And Dana's already basically given the green light for that. He has said that Volkanovski, especially with the third win over Max here, he's earned the right to do what he wants.
Yeah.
He wants to go up and fight for the 55 belt. I think they would let him. I don't know if Oliveira would take that over a Conor fight, personally.
No, I don't think so either. And there is a little bit of a timeline issue also because coming out of this fight, Volkanovski did break his hand in the second round.
Yeah, we don't know how long he's going to be out.
Yeah. Usually hands, maybe 4 or 6 months.
But let's also talk about with Volkanovski here some things that are just facts that I think deserve to be talked about.
Mm-hmm.
At featherweight, he has not just 3 victories over Max. He also has a victory over Jose Aldo. He has 23 victories in a row.
Yep.
Who hasn't he beat
That's what I was just gonna say.
in the division where you say that he should.
No.
I mean, you could maybe say he doesn't have a victory over McGregor, but McGregor was finished with featherweight before Volkanovski came around.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, he's got the who's who. He's got Chad Mendez, Jose Aldo, Max twice, Brian Ortega.
Max Rice.
Oh, sorry, 3 times. No, 3 times
He's
now.
got
But
Ortega.
Ortega, he's beat all the people that everyone kind of considers the upper echelon of the division, and even
And
some
he's
of the
beat
great
people
two of
that
the greatest.
people consider the legends of the division,
Yeah.
which are Holloway and Aldo.
Yeah.
And he's on a streak longer than Kamaru Usman.
Uh-huh.
Kamaru Usman's technical streak in the UFC is longer.
Yeah.
But the overall win streak is greater than Usman's.
Yep. Hasn't
And
lost in
is
10 years.
equal to John Jones? If you take out the Matt Hamill fight, I mean.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, Jones has more title defenses in
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Yeah.
But we're just talking overall victories. At what point do you say that this guy is not, what, is he the greatest featherweight? I mean, hard to say because he's still fighting. I don't like to have the argument while they're still fighting, or still in the division at least. But he's clearly top pound for pound fighters here. I mean, is he better than Usman? His resume, I think, is better than Usman's when you compare it to the division.
Yeah. I think just the whole, like what you said before, the body of work inside the UFC is going to get Usman the edge over him. Like, just because, not necessarily, just because basically the people that vote on it is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with you. I think he's right up there, top pound for pound. I think right now it's like the 4 who are at the top are like all 4, 1A, B, C, and D. Like, literally, I think it's Jones, Izzy, Usman, and Volkanovski are all
I think Izzy's takes a
peak.
blow because
It
if you're
does,
talking
yeah.
pound for pound, then you have to count the loss
The
to
Jan,
Jan.
yeah. Good
Where,
point.
I mean, it doesn't affect, if you're talking about the greatest middleweight, his middleweight status, that is irrelevant, that
Yeah,
loss. But
yeah.
pound for pound, it does.
It does,
factor
yeah.
in.
Good point.
But
But yeah, I just mean like those guys are kind of the pinnacle of MMA. I think at this point,
this guy is an amazing fighter, and it's time that
yeah.
he gets his due.
those flowers, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
he needs those for sure. What a performance! I don't know what's next for him. I would like to see him fight for the lightweight title. I think they should book it. Whatever they're gonna do.
Yeah,
Even if it's an interim, I would find that interesting. I wonder if he would take an interim.
against who though?
I guess they wouldn't do an interim though because it's vacant.
Yeah,
What a stupid reason. It's vacant over a half a pound. It's a technicality. But, a rule is a rule is a rule, right?
Yeah.
Which, here's something I couldn't help but notice. Let's talk about that half a pound for a second.
yeah,
That half a pound is the reason Charles Oliveira is not the recognized champion in the lightweight division right now, despite he won that fight.
yeah.
And this past weekend, we saw Daniel Cormier get inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. And during his induction speech, he talks about Towelgate, as they talk about it, as they reference it in the MMA community, where there was a lot of controversy during a weigh-in for a championship fight. He was overweight by a little bit more than a half a pound, I do believe. And he used an old wrestling trick of grabbing the towel and leaning on it to make weight. And a lot of people saw that. There was photo and video of it, and accused him of cheating to make weight, and he denied it for years. He said that was bullshit, blah, blah, blah. And then at his Hall of Fame induction ceremony, he admits flat out that he and his coaches came up with that idea. They did it. He flat out cheated to make weight. And he says it in like a ha thing. And I have to sit here and say, look, that's the same thing. You've got, so should Charles Oliveira have done the goddamn towel trick? And then we'd be like, now he's still champ.
Pull the Jeremy Stevens, put your fucking feet off the scale and shit.
If somebody who wasn't as beloved as Daniel Cormier is with a lot of fans, if it was someone controversial like Conor McGregor did the towel trick in his fight against Eddie Alvarez, is he now invalidated? Would people be saying none of his championship shit counts after that because he didn't make weight, he didn't fucking win that fight, and blah 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 blah? I'm just saying. I'm not making that argument. I'm just saying, what the fuck? We've got the lightweight champ who lost his title over a half a pound. We've got the former double champ admitting
cheated.
he cheated when we all saw him cheat, and it's only the New York State Athletic Commission were goddamn morons that he didn't get caught cheating, which would have resulted in him not being eligible for the belt. And everybody's like, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And there's people shitting on Oliveira, which you can make a case as they should. You don't make weight, you don't make weight. Mm-hmm. Even though there's controversy around that as well, because they're saying it was a scale in the back is the reason that the scale was off. So when he thought he was on weight, he actually wasn't. Mm-hmm. So much controversy.
They didn't allow him. It didn't allow him to get back in the gym to train to cut it.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I just couldn't help but think of that when Daniel Cormier finally admits to cheating, and it's right when we have a situation where the same half-pound difference resulted in a vacant UFC title. Someone who didn't cheat.
That's interesting.
Right? That's fucking crazy, right?
That is kind of stupid. Not really stupid, but yeah, I don't know. Fucking, it is what it is, I guess. There's really no other way to look at it.
Sport, dude.
It is, yeah.
Well, this only happens in this type of thing. And you could do it in boxing, I suppose, as well. But imagine
if like John Jones, like after he retires in his Hall of Fame speech, was just like, yeah, remember like when I said I took dick pills? I was doing steroids.
Right. I mean, at what point do people say, people love to say, oh, John Jones is a cheater. Well, I guess Daniel Cormier is a cheater now too, right?
Especially the part where he talks about like coming up with the idea with his team. Like,
dude, they straight up said it. They were going to do a different trick instead, and then they were like, "Oh, you remember the towel trick?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, okay." Like straight up, it wasn't like he just thought of it on the scale and did it real quick, like they planned it.
I've never seen someone do the towel trick. I didn't know that was a thing from wrestling.
I remember reading about it in all the accusatory media afterwards.
Yeah,
they were saying that was an old trick. I mean, I'm not from wrestling. I don't know. I didn't know it.
I've never heard that trick.
I just find the whole thing to be fascinating.
Yeah, that is very interesting, considering everything that he said about people who cheat in the past.
And if cheating is cheating, then
you're doing the same thing you're accusing John Jones of doing. So,
right?
That's crazy.
The fucking trip.
It's kind of just been brushed under the rug too. I haven't seen anybody talk about it.
Nobody's out there because everybody loves DC.
Yeah.
So, not everybody. As a company,
it's pretty blatant cheating.
But what a trip, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty fun weekend though. Good cap off to International Fight Week.
Hell of a time.
Yeah. Good overall card. It's a real win for the UFC. Mm-hmm. And a very successful UFC X fan experience as well.
Hell yeah. It was a good time.
So be sure to check our YouTube channel for video on that fan experience and some of the things we saw along the way. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in, as well as all of our loyal listeners. You can find our show on Spotify, Amazon, Google, Podcast, Apple, everywhere, including video on YouTube and a bunch of other cool stuff, all in one handy spot.
SWATMMA.com, or you can head over there, click the gear button, buy a t-shirt, and support the podcast. Then head over to Instagram and follow us at SWAT MMA Podcast.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace.